Right, we'll dive in then. Welcome back to what is either episode 3 or episode 4 of the Midnight Podcast. I've dyed my hair platinum blonde since last time. Get the creative juices flowing a bit more. If you're listening, you obviously can't see, but I have. Here with Tokyo as usual and his little pillow. And I guess on this episode, as I was just saying to our guest, who I'll let him introduce himself in a minute, this is the first time, well, it's only episode 3 that I've actually recorded, but it's the first time yet that I've done a pod / interview / just sit down chat with someone that I don't really know. And like obviously a professional in this space would go away and research you, but like I have done that to an extent. It's on my iPad, etc. But like obviously you're not an A-lister yet, so it's like not that much out there. And then obviously we met through Tyler 2-3 weeks ago, and I was suddenly like, who the fuck is this guy? Loads of followers, interesting story. We had like mutual friends and that. Small world, it feels like. And then I was just get you on the pod and really go from there. So I feel like, yeah, it's just going to be an organic one for me. Don't really have any structure with it really, which is probably good. Over time, I'll get better at that sort of thing. But I guess, yeah, just to start, like, just tell me about yourself. Like, what do you do? Where have you come from? And we'll go from there, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that listeners can learn. So
yeah, of course, mate. Well, as most people will be able to tell from my accent, I'm from Liverpool. Being in the social media marketing game now for like, I think it's about 8 years. I run an agency called Social Kick, which specializes in influencer campaigns, organic and viral growth, and brand strategy. So I've had the agency officially now for like, how long's it been? It's been about 5 years officially. Like I said, I've been in the game for like 8 years unofficially. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell, mate.
Yeah, so agency, like obviously I was reading online just briefly, went to college, etc. Probably like a lot of people, didn't really know what you wanted to do. But how do you start an agency? Obviously like agency is probably, I feel like it's become like the next drop shipping in a way. And I don't think yours is exactly like, a lot of people start like Facebook ads agencies. Obviously I've looked at yours a little bit, but like how do you get started in that? Like how do you go from, I don't know, having a paid job like 9 to 5, whatever it was, and then actually just saying, fuck it, I'm going to start my own thing?
Yeah, it's a good question, mate. And I think you are right. I think, you know, the creating agency definitely is like the new drop shipping type of vibe. Everyone wants to create an agency, but you know, I can easily say that I was one of the first people to create a social agency within my space that long ago when I was back in uni, which was, you know, how long ago was that now? So 6 years ago. Yeah, long time. So yeah, I went to uni and done a marketing degree, and it didn't take me very long to realize that really didn't want to be in uni. And it was one of those situations where you go to uni because you've got nothing else to really do and nothing to pursue. So it's like, okay, well, my parents want me to go, I'll just go to uni and see what it's like. So I'd done business when I was in college, found that I was quite good at it. So when I went to uni, it was quite easy for me to just pick up the marketing side and, you know, specified in the marketing side of the business degree. But yeah, about halfway through my first year, I realized, wow, this is not what I want to be doing, but didn't want to let the parents down. And it was when Instagram, it was when Instagram really just started to kick off. It wasn't even the main platform. Everyone was still using Facebook at the time. And I was always into my fashion. So I actually started to create fashion pages, like men's fashion blogs. You know, we even called them blogs back then. It wasn't even like an Instagram, even though it was on Instagram, we called it a blog. So yeah, I just started like reposting pictures of, you know, celebrities like Kanye West, Pharrell Williams, all these big like fashion icons. And after like 6 months of just literally posting just for the leisure aspect of it, because like, it was a hobby, I enjoyed it, started to pick up quite a lot of followers, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool. It's quite easy to grow if you post good content, you stay consistent, etc. So started to make a few more pages, grew my first page to like 100,000 followers. And even just before I got to 100,000 followers, I got a DM from a brand. And at this time, you know, influencer marketing wasn't even a thing. People weren't even using influencers or creators for the brand. So I got a message off a brand. I can't even remember the name of the brand. It was some like smart men's like suit and tie brand. He messaged me saying, oh, how much for an ad on your page? And I remember being like, wait, you can make money from Instagram, social media? It was so confusing. So I just like said a number off the top of my head. I think I said something like 20 quid, honestly, something crazy.
Classic.
And they were like, yep, send it over. And I was like, that was too easy. I didn't realize how easy that would be.
And were you in uni at this point?
In uni still, first
year. Which uni was this?
I went to the University of Liverpool. Yeah, I didn't go too far away from home.
Yeah.
But
I was in Newcastle.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Well, probably similar story to you, really. I went knowing that I didn't want to be there, but it was like, fuck it, what else am I going to do? And then kind of figured out my econ thing while I was there. So probably similar story, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the most productive environment, is it? Being around people that just genuinely don't have the similar aspirations in it. So you sort of figure out there's a different world out there. And obviously for you, that was Instagram pages, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, you know, even before I went to uni, I definitely see myself as quite a closed-minded person anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't really know much about different cultures, different people, different trends, etc. But when I went to uni, and I started to get a lot of, you know, mates from different countries. Like our friend group, it was like full of like Malaysians, Chinese, Americans, all these people coming together. And it was, you know, that was the one good side of uni for me. It was learning about different cultures and different people and realizing the world's bigger than Liverpool.
Yeah, it's so fucking true.
Yeah, like how many people have that like small town mentality wherever you come from.
Yeah,
it's just mad.
And obviously you're from Liverpool, so you went where you're from, whereas I'm from York, so like smaller, but like, yeah, I guess going to Newcastle wasn't that far. And are you a Liverpool fan?
No, I'm an Evertonian.
Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, right. Get off this podcast. I was going to say, I'll have to like, you're actually the only person I know that's a Scouse. And I used to always do like a Jamie Carragher impression, but maybe I'll leave that to the end. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Just that like, shit going around TikTok, it's fucking funny.
That's the go-to, isn't it?
So yeah, so obviously started making money from Instagram pages, and yeah, things have changed so much. When was this? Maybe like 2015, 2016? Or was it earlier?
When was it?
Because we're a similar age. I think we're the same age.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, would have been uni 2014, 15.
14, 15, it would have been, yeah. But yeah, I started making a bit of money off it and realised, you know, I'd done a lot of networking on Instagram as well. So if I had a fashion page called Men's Fashion Co. And I used
probably
to
followed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to find other people within the niche and started to network. We used to do like shout outs and help each other grow and that type of thing. And back then, that worked. Like someone else would shout you out on the stories or, you know, in the caption. You gain like 5,000 followers overnight. You can't do that now, but well, I guess you can with some pages, but it's a lot more saturated. But yeah, with the brand side of it, I started to realize, well, I can utilize not just my page, but other people that I now know. What I can do is basically connect the brands with the pages and then take a commission in between. So I'd take budgets off the brands and then distribute it between my network. So instead of being like, hey, do you want to, you know, post on Men's Fashion Co with 100,000 followers? I can be like, look, Men's Fashion Co's got a network of 10, 20, 30 million followers. This is what you get. These are the pages. And I'd sell like packages to brands as well. So that was coming into the second year of uni now. And what I realized was when I came into the second year of uni, a lot of these brands that were coming to me were watch brands, like streetwear watch brands. I'm not talking Rolexes and Patek Philippe's. I'm talking like
watch brands. I remember those.
Yeah, like Daniel Wellington and the Fifth watches. All these ones which were popping up out of nowhere. And utilizing social media. And in the back of my head, I was like, these guys are making a lot of money if they keep coming back to me and using my network for promotions. And I've always been into my watches anyway, so I was like, I'm gonna make a watch brand.
Yeah.
So done all the research myself. Literally did not care about uni on the second year. I don't even know how I passed it, to be honest with you, but I've done all right in it. But found my own supplier, built my own website, done my own logistics, done my own designs, and started to just sell my own watch brand just via Instagram organic, no paid ads, none of that. I didn't even know what paid ads were or Facebook ads were back then. Just done it all through Instagram. That done quite well, and it was funny because in my dorm room in uni, it was just full of just boxes of watches, and then every morning I'd run down to the post office, send them all myself, do all that. It was just nuts. But yeah, I'd done the watch brand for a couple of years alongside building the agency, but it was just so hard because to be a one-man band trying to create a watch brand and scale was almost impossible. But yeah, I ended up stopping that just because one of the main issues I ran into was marketing spend, and just a lot of the other brands were just saturating the market so much because they had so much money to throw, you know.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah,
I was similar, to be fair. Like I had a clothing brand in 2015. It was fucking shit. Didn't know ads. Everyone took the piss. Blah blah. Same story. and then a leggings brand because I was rowing at uni.
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't running ads, but this one did all right, like organically. Then I discovered Facebook ads in like mid 2016, and then I started drop shipping jeans, and that turned into a decent sized clothing brand and like influencers, etc. But yeah, it was very much like one man band spec. Well, actually, my mate ended up coming in, but we had an office in Newcastle while I was at uni, and I probably told this story in an older podcast, not the first one of this podcast, but because this was like pre Neon Beach, all that scandal. But yeah, it was weird because I don't know, like, did you finish uni or what?
Yeah, I finished uni. No, I didn't end up dropping out, and one of the main reasons I didn't drop out was for my parents. You know, my dad was he was the main person that was like, I want you to go and get a degree, and I didn't really want to let him down, so I was balancing chasing what I wanted to do myself and what I knew I was good at with, making sure he was happy and not feeling guilty for not finishing a degree. But yeah, it just got saturated so quick, the market, and I was so stupid back then, mate, honestly, because when it comes to like growing a brand, it's always good, well, within reason, and we can have a chat about this, but giving away a certain amount of equity in a company to help with the scalability, help with investment, and to get it where it needs to be quicker, right? Because it was called Adam Mark England, it had my name in the fucking title of the watch and on the watch. I didn't want anyone else to have anything to do with it. That was the biggest thing. So I actually missed out on a massive opportunity because I had loads of people at the time coming to me being like, let me invest X amount of money into it. And I was always like, nah, I'm doing it myself. But if I would have took on investment back then, it would have been a whole other ball game. And I know it now because I was so early in the. Yeah,
that's pretty early in watches. Yeah. And like, you didn't run any paid ads then or what?
Didn't run any paid ads, 100% organic.
That would have been the kicker.
Yeah, the only like external marketing that I'd done outside of organic was I got it in British GQ, like 3 seasons on the bounce, which was quite fun. But even then, that didn't even bring in any sales. I had like a unique code in GQ, load of bollocks. I wouldn't do it again. It's a vanity thing that it doesn't drive sales. Not when you're on a page full of like 10 other watches. Just doesn't make any sense.
So did you never just think, I can figure out Facebook ads myself, which is what I eventually did? Because if I hadn't run paid ads, fucking hell, I'd probably be working in Tesco right now. Well, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't have done much.
Yeah, I was thinking of it. I think I tried a little bit. Even still to this day, I would never run my own paid ads, even though I'm like a self-proclaimed social media expert to an extent. It's all on the organic side of things. I wouldn't ever try and run my own ads because a lot of my friends now have got Facebook ad agencies, and I see how difficult it is right now. And if you're not on it 24/7, if you don't know every little tweak which Facebook makes, it could get messy. So
yeah, it's fucked recently.
Yeah.
And you said you missed out on opportunities. Yeah. What sort of opportunities with that brand? Like who was approaching you? Like
mostly investors.
What sort of picture?
Yeah, mostly investors. I knew exactly what I needed at the time to scale to the next level, and it was two. The dog was making funny noises then. 2 main mistakes that I made was didn't scale quick enough and didn't take on the investment to help with stock, the logistics side of it. Getting into a warehouse and helping them with that side of it. I was so like tunnel visioned, I just didn't take the help that I actually needed to scale. If I would have took on investment, I think I probably only would have needed about 50 grand. If I got 50k, I reckon I could have made it into a multi-million pound company, because at the time, very little money got you a lot of exposure.
That's so true.
The conversion rate organically was insane.
The ad costs were like a tenth of what they are now.
Yeah.
Literally.
And when you had 100,000 followers on Instagram, 80,000 of those people might have seen it organically back then.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you got 100,000 followers, you'd be lucky to get a 20% rate on that, which is just nuts. But yeah, I mean, look, everything happens for a reason. I moved on from that pretty quickly. Just kind of put it on that on the back burner when I realized it was a bit of a waste of money, and just doubled down on actually creating a scalable agency on what I was good at, which was the organic and viral growth, the brand strategy, and just the growth of Instagram accounts for anyone that wanted to monetize it or just grow because they fancied it. So
you sacked off the watch brand, focus on the agency.
Yeah,
everyone knows agencies like more cash flow rich. Like obviously the problem with an ecom brand, which a lot of people don't realize as well, is that even if, I think I spoke about it in a previous episode, even if it's profitable, it's like stock, you're taking a bigger risk on like buying stock, etc., like new SKUs, etc., and obviously ad costs. So yeah, completely understand that. And then where are we now? Have you finished uni? Like, how's the agency going? Were you making money? Were you still working a job? Like, where were you at?
So I was the only job I had before I became self-employed fully was when I was in uni. I worked at a shop called Bank Fashion, which was owned by like JD PLC. It was just awful. It was like, funny story actually, when I quit the job, it was because the boss at the time, I was on like the shoe stand, so I was standing there waiting for, you know, customers to come in, and he came over to me, the boss, and was like, dust that shelf behind you. And I was like, it doesn't need dusting, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he goes, it doesn't matter, it doesn't need dusting, I've just told you to dust that.
You are the duster.
Yeah, I just went, are you being serious? What, so you just tell me to do it for the sake of it? And he went, yeah. And I went, right, mate. Literally just took my lanyard off, threw it at him, walked out. I just walked out because that made me realise I can't work in a job where someone actually has to tell me what to do. Yeah. I have to be, you know, I'm a control freak. I need to be in control. And very quickly realised then that I needed to move on. So yeah, came out of uni, focused 100% on the agency. Moved out of the original thing, which was like men's fashion, and moved into more like meme pages, started to grow a lot of different meme pages, and then work on the brand side of things instead of just, you know, being that middleman. So I'd be actually on retainers from the brands or the people on the other side instead of working for the pages, if that makes sense. So instead of just being like a middleman, I actually started to be put on retainers to do what I was doing, and then I realized then that was a more stable model for what I was doing at the time, because when I was in uni it was quite sporadic the way things would come in, and I was taking, you know, cuts from XYZ, but I was like, right, I need to actually create a proper agency model now where I'm taking monthly retainers. I'm working not just on them working with influencers or meme pages or whatever, but actually be involved in the brand strategy and be a little bit more integrated into the brands, because then I found more interest in that as well, because I was learning about the insides of different businesses as well as being paid to do so and do what I was actually good at. So yeah, I mean, like I said, years and years on now, we mainly focus on a lot of different like corporate companies actually. So big like fintech companies, app companies.
I saw Revolut on your website, I think it was.
Yeah. We worked at Revolut and MasterCard. We ran the influencer campaign for the Brit Awards. And then we also done the Revolut's content creation for their paid ads as well. So I basically came in and just said, look, your paid ad content isn't actually the best. We can do a way better job, which will then help with the organic and influencer side of things. Because at the end of the day, it all has to mold into one. You can't have paid ads doing one thing and then influencers and, you know, the other side of it doing something completely different. So when I work with companies now, I try and work at companies that I actually take interest in myself and I think are really good companies. Because then I'm not motivated to do half as good, you know, or what I'm doing, because I'm just not interested in what they're doing, or I don't believe in it.
And was this just you at this point then, or do you have employees, freelancers, a team, whatever?
Yeah. So when I came out of uni and for a couple of years after that, it's always only been me. Now, when I've started to scale, take on more clients and, you know, do all those shenanigans, it was mostly with people who were freelancers contracted in. And the reason I took that model is because when I first started making money from the agency, I realized quite quickly that I'm not just motivated by money, I'm motivated by the freedom that money gives you. So if I get locked in with big fancy offices, a load of staff, the stress levels would be so sky high that I actually wouldn't enjoy what I was doing. So I realized that I can actually contract people in, so they're self-employed, which takes away my stress of everything and all the admin I'd have to do on my side. And, you know, the contract length would be like rolling monthly or 3 months or 6 months, depending on what projects I'd have on at that time. So there's a lot of people coming in and out of the people who work with Social Kick, but everyone who comes in, I trust 100%. The people that are either I've worked with before or have been like highly recommended by other people that I know have got like solid results. I wouldn't just pull someone off the street and just be like, yeah, okay, you work for Social Kick now. But luckily over the years, you know, it's like networking is key with what we do, and whether that's with influencers or, you know, Facebook agencies or whatever it is, if you get good referrals off people, it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so on that, there's kind of two things I want to talk about. Firstly, so like, I saw there was like some, I don't actually see this till today, there was like some Daily Mail article, obviously like flashing lifestyle and shit. I feel like it's funny because that's like the opposite of what the Daily Mail article that nearly got published about me would have been. It would have been like fucking scam artists or whatever, but probably with similar pictures.
Yeah.
So have you traveled a lot then, obviously like pre-COVID? Because I probably did like 2.5 years, nearly 3 years of like pretty much full-time nomad, whatever you want to call it, like jet set lifestyle, all this.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I did, mate.
You did a lot of that?
A lot, yeah. I mean, I've only been living in London now, like officially for like, well, be less than 2 years really.
Yeah.
Before that, I was traveling all the time. I just left all my belongings at my parents' place.
Yeah. Same.
And I just jumped flights, and whenever I got bored, I'd just go somewhere else. And that brings you back to what I said about freedom.
Yeah.
If I had an office with a load of staff and people not knowing what they were doing, or new people getting onboarded, etc., it would give me so much anxiety to like look after those people. Like I said, I'm a control freak, and if something's got my name on it, like Social Kick, it'd have to be ran properly and I'd have to be there. So freedom has always been the key for me, which is why I've traveled over the last 2-3 years non-stop. Spent most of my time in Dubai and LA. They're like the two main spots for me, just because of the creatives and the people in the industry that I know are based there. But yeah, I've done Asia. I've got friends who like play footy over in Asia, so it's always been good to go visit them. Spent time in where else have I been? Yeah, Canada, America, like Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, like everywhere.
LA, Dubai, and Bali are probably like the big three. Like I'm a big fan of Bali. I probably speak about it too much. Lived there for like, well, probably like a year, and not a year, maybe like 2 months, 4 different times.
Long time though, mate. I mean, I've only been to Bali once and I fell in love with it, and the only reason I haven't been back is because of the whole COVID situation.
Yeah, I've not been for 2 years now. Pretty much 2 years to the day almost because of fucking COVID.
What I think about Bali is the standard of living compared to the cost of living is absolutely insane.
Living like some baller villa for like $1,000 a month.
This is what I mean. It's not like, compare that to what you get in London.
Yeah. It's just, to be fair, like, it's what you said. It's like freedom, but it's also like, where was I speaking about? It's not on a podcast. I think just with mates. And it's like, if you can make, just say, 100 grand a year even, or even less. Let's just say you make 100 grand a year online. That's worth like, in my mind, the equivalent of like £1 million a year having to be in an office in central London.
100%.
Because people talk about like, oh, I want to make money or whatever, but a lot of people don't consider like the time and location freedom that certain things as opposed to others can give you. So like, i.e. running an agency, e-com brand, whatever it is, like online fundamentally, as opposed to having to go into an office. Because if you're making, I was like, £1 million working in the city or whatever, which by the way, fucking no one is, but barely, like 0.01%. But even then it's like, I'd rather make a lot less, say 100 grand a year, which is still good money online, but have the time and location freedom. Yeah. And I just think no one really considers that. I reckon COVID has like woken a lot of people up to that. They're like, oh fuck, I don't really need to be in an office for a start.
Yeah, you don't need to be in the rat race. That's the thing. Luckily and thank God, I realised that very early on from what I was doing, and even just being in uni and doing a part-time job made me realise like, whoa, you don't have to do this. So social media was, the biggest thing in my life that changed everything, because that freedom, mate, to be able to get up. Like right now, if I wanted to just jump on a flight to butt fuck nowhere, doesn't matter where it was, I can do that, and I can do that with the freedom, knowing that my business is still going to run, everything's still going to be okay, bills are still going to be paid. Whereas the amount of times, and you've probably experienced this as well, actually, we've all got mates that are working 9 to 5s or other jobs, and for example, if I said to you right now, oh, let's jump on a plane, just go to Marbella for a couple of days, it'll be jokes. The amount of times I've said to my mates, I want to go away, even if it's only for a couple of days, let's just go here, even if it's super cheap. Like, I can't, I've got work, or I haven't got any days off.
Yeah, it's so true.
I
think that is the biggest, like, luxury, blessing, good thing, whatever you want to call it, that people don't realise. And it's like, when I got into like drop shipping back in like 2016, and I just remember going to Italy. I went for like a European trip by myself because I didn't know anyone that also did that. It was before I like met anyone in like the e-com space. It's just like, because no one else can go, even if it's like fucking 500 quid for a month or whatever, just backpacking. It's just mad. I think once people experience that like freedom, it's suddenly like, oh fuck, because on the flip side, like last year, just before the fucking meltdown, like, I was looking at getting like a proper expensive office in London and shit, and then I sort of like a few months later was like, fuck. Firstly, glad I didn't do that because of what ended up happening with that business, but
Yeah.
secondly, it was like, I think that was just me trying, because I'd done the whole Bali thing, and then I was like, oh, I want to like formalize this, get like PAYE employees, get an office. But now I think, fuck that. Like, I don't know, you look at brands like Gymshark or whatever, and yeah, that's like a great 0.0001% example. But I actually think most people that want to start a brand or whatever don't even want that. They think they want that. What they want is to make good money doing something they love and have freedom.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more realistic than people think.
That's because society tells us to go and get a good job, go and earn, 100 grand a year as, oh my goodness, you're rich, you're doing amazing in life. But realistically, if you'd say to me right now, would you rather take 40 grand and be self-employed or 100 grand and have a 9 to 5? I'm taking the first option.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it just is, because that freedom to me is worth more than money.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
so true.
Like having cool materialistic things like nice watches and cool cars and stuff, they're great, but the ability to actually get up and just fuck off to wherever I want is the best feeling in the world. And I always get reminded of that when I get on another plane. I'm sitting there being like, I'm actually so grateful to be in this position, to be able to actually jump up, fly wherever I want and do whatever I want. And that to me is being wealthy, to be honest. That like freedom. And I was gonna say, like, I seen a meme a couple of days ago, and I was laughing at it, but it is so true. It was like, having a Rolex isn't a flex if it tells you when your lunch break's over.
Oh fuck yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's deep.
Yeah, that is deep actually, because like I've already put my cards on the table with this, but like fucking lost a load of money in the past year, whatever. Like I'm still fine. I'm still in the game. I'm not fucking homeless, obviously, but like went from having like 2 very fancy cars, which in hindsight didn't make me happy anyway. Had like fucking 4 Rolexes at one point, sold 3 of them, still got 1, whatever. But in a way that was like kind of a good experience, because now I'm like, actually, like the bit I really enjoyed anyway was the freedom. Like I like cars and whatever, I've always been into that shit, but like it only makes you excited like for the first month of it being new, maybe. Now, obviously I know you've got a sick car as well, but like it's cool, but you'd give that up before your freedom. Like you'd rather be able to travel. Do you know what I mean? Obviously you can have both, but
if it was between, I'd get rid of the car straight away. Like I get rid of everything, my watches, my cars, like everything. Like there's no point in having it if it makes you struggle. Like this is what I mean. Like I never understand if someone's on a job that, let's say someone's earning 25 grand a year. Yeah. But someone's paying £500-600 a month for a Range Rover,
which is a lot of people,
like that, which is a lot. It's like they're not doing that because they need it. They're literally doing it because they think number one, it looks cool. They're probably just trying to impress people. Yeah, that's the main thing. They're probably just trying to impress people. They don't need that car. It's just everyone wants to look rich. Everyone wants to look wealthy, but don't buy anything unless you can afford it 5-6 times over. That's what I tell myself anyway. Yeah,
and just then. So obviously you mentioned like networking, etc., and obviously like I've only met you once prior to this. It was in like Soho House, and obviously like fucking Instagrammed you, big following, verified, all this shit. So like where did that come from? Was that obviously building your following, etc.? Was that just off the back of the agency? Like was that as a result of networking and working with influencers and like getting shout outs? Like where's that come from? Because I have fuck all followers compared to that, but I've never really thought about it.
I started growing my personal page when it was very, very easy to grow on Instagram. So as I was growing the Men's Fashion Co pages and the other men's fashion lifestyle pages and meme pages, I was also growing my personal page as well. Yeah. So I actually started posting a lot of like fashion related stuff. So a lot of my audience still to this day are more fashion related, which is where like the majority of the people who follow me, came from. So I grew like quite quickly over a short period of time. And then as I started to kind of take my foot off the gas on my personal page, I started focusing on more of my clients and stuff like that. The engagement started to go down a little bit, and I had to slowly like pick that back up again. So still to this day, even though I've got like 140,000 followers, I'd say a good 65-70% of the followers came from years and years before that anyway. Still my own personal page, but they were interested in more the fashion side of it, whereas I don't really post that much stuff like that anymore. One thing I'm trying to do with my personal brand at the moment is offer a lot more value and offer things which, isn't just me looking cool in business class or me looking sick in LA with a Rolls Royce behind me. Like, they're great to have because it's social proof. It's letting people know that obviously, you know, like the thing is, right, I never try and flex. I love my cars. I love my travel. I love my watches. So if you see me posting cars, travel and watches, it's not because I'm like, hey, look at me. Look how big my bollocks are. It's literally me being like, I really like this stuff, so I'm going to post it.
Yeah.
But as well as that,
especially when you've like self-made.
Yeah, of course. Like, look
at
it. That's one thing people don't realize. I didn't get anything given to me. Like, I literally started off my iPhone, what was it? iPhone 4 or something, iPhone 5. While I was in uni in between lectures. That's how I started. I didn't have any handouts. I didn't have anyone giving me money. It was just all like that. So if I want to post stuff like that, I'm more than capable of doing that without, you know,
definitely
caring what anyone
qualified
thinks.
to do so. Yeah. I definitely see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, it don't count if there's a lot of that around where we live. Like, fucking Don's just posting like pictures of daddy's yacht and stuff, which I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitter, but it's like, come on, mate. Yeah, doesn't count.
Well, that's what it's like being in London as well. You meet a lot of those, type of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was a bit like that as well. To be fair, I mean, I definitely used to probably flex a little bit more, like particularly when I was single or whatever. It's just fucking works. But it was never from an angle of I'm trying to flex, and I wasn't even selling anything. I probably fucking should have shilled a course back then or whatever. But yeah, it was more just I just liked those things, and if people deemed it as like, oh, you're flexing, like, blah blah blah, and I probably wouldn't post that sort of stuff now, just because I've grown up a bit. But yeah, it definitely is social proof. Like, if you're trying to sell something or not, even if it's just social proof to like girls is one, which is like, it sounds silly, but it's fucking true.
No, it's a big one. Everyone's
and then even just other people that you want to network with. It's like if you got a picture of a nice car or something, like or like you're in a cool place. It's like, well, there must be a story there to some extent. Particularly if you can scroll back and see that it wasn't always the case.
Mate, of course, like travel, cars, watches, like I said before, like those things in like the lads world are all conversation starters. Yeah. Like if you see, like even Tyler, our friend Tyler, like Tyler, if you're watching this isn't the reason we started talking, by the way, but if I go on his page and I see he's driving a Lamborghini and he's 23, I'm going to go, what the fuck does he do and how did he do that? Because to me, if I look at someone and go, that's a 200 grand car, someone lives in central London, he's absolutely killing it in life, but his Instagram doesn't give that much away. That's why a lot of people end up messaging people, and that's why a lot of people message me as well, because when they see me traveling, when they see me doing XYZ, or they see me hanging around with influencers, it's like, who is this guy and what does he do? It's the conversation starters. It's kind of like the mysterious kind of personality that people know but no one knows what they do, and there's a lot of people like that.
It's kind of, well, I was kind of like that with you, to be fair, and I feel like there's two sides to it, because like I used to, particularly in the past when I was like driving my R8 or whatever, I'd get messages off 16-year-olds saying, like literally saying, can you mentor me? And I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so no, I'm just still winging it.
You'd be like, mate, I'm winging it myself.
Whereas now, like some particular like Forex traders or whatever, like I think we mentioned this on the previous episode, me and Billy, but now because I've got experience and I've just done a bit of things in life, I now look at a lot of those and think, fuck me, this guy is completely fronting, he's probably broke because he's selling some affiliate offer, etc, etc. And there's obviously legit people and non-legit people, but it's just funny how your perspective changes when you've been one of those people that people might make assumptions about, and you've also got friends that are doing it legit as well. Yeah. So, because yes, social media is just smoke and mirrors, isn't it? A lot of it. So how do you get verified as well? Because I couldn't even get my fucking brand page verified with 500,000 followers, and I just I'd like to get my personal verified. I'm not that arsed. It would just be like obviously you haven't got a lot of followers.
You should be arsed, because at the end of the day, people might take the piss out of people trying to get verified and stuff, but being verified, I know the benefits. I knew the benefits before, and that's why I wanted to try so hard. Honestly, I tried to get verified for like a year and a half before I actually got it. Yeah. The things that pushed it over the line for me was the news articles and a stroke of fortune with the same week a lot of the articles came out. I had a lot of people pretending to be my Forex account. I know, how fucking original, but that's what people do. Like when there's someone with a lot of followers on Instagram, they'll copy it and try and feed off their followers. Yeah. So I ended up reporting, I think it was about 6 or 7 accounts, and when they got reported for like impersonating me, I got a message literally within half an hour being like, these accounts have been removed. So I was like, okay, I know that I'm on Instagram's radar now, because now they're on every account that I'm, putting forward, they're removing it straight away. So they know I'm a person of importance or, relevance or whatever. Like I said, luckily it was the same week a lot of the articles came out. So I think that week I had like a Forbes mention, BuzzFeed, Daily Mail, Mirror, and then a load of other ones as well. So when you typed in my name onto Google, my SEO was really, really strong on the Google News tab, as well as on just when you type my name in and my agency name.
Yeah, I just Googled you before this and Daily Mail comes up.
Yeah. So straight away I was like,
pretty good.
Okay, this is, if I'm going to like request it, I'll request it. So requested it inside the app where you can request verification. And back then it was even harder to get verified. Didn't put anything special in there, just requested it, uploaded my ID, woke up the next morning, I was verified. So I knew for a fact it was because of the articles and the impersonators and stuff like that. The CEO of Instagram actually went live a couple of weeks ago and done like a live Q&A with his audience. And one of the biggest things was, how do I get verified? That's what a lot of people were asking.
Yeah.
And he said things which I knew were already true, but kind of solidified that in a lot of people's eyes, which was, it's all about what your Google rankings like. So if you type your name in, like I don't know whether you've done it, but when you request verification, it says known as in the known as section.
Yeah.
Whatever you put in there is what the person on the other end will probably type into Google, or Instagram's algorithm will search. Whatever comes up there, and depending on how strong your SEO is, that's what's going to decide whether they think you're eligible for it.
I'll have to put in known as Neon Beach scam artist, then I get verified.
Mate, maybe it'd work. You're never going to know if you don't try.
Yeah.
But so I didn't put in on the known as, I didn't put in Adam Jordan or Adam Mark. I put in, I think it was Adam Jordan Social Kick Agency. That's what I put as the known as.
Yeah.
That worked for me. So for anyone who's watching or listening, if you're trying to get verified, you've got a few followers. And by the way, I know people who are verified with 1,000 followers. It does not.
I've seen quite a few of those.
It does not matter how many followers you got, mate, at all. It's about how likely you are to be impersonated.
Yeah.
How many articles you've got, so that social proof away from social media. And also your niche. So the entrepreneurial niche is actually one of the hardest niches to get verified in. That and an actual brand. So for me, when I done the categories, I didn't put entrepreneur. It gives you the option to say other. So I clicked other, and that worked for me. And I actually have done it for about, honestly, mate, the past 2 months, I probably got about 5 people verified just through doing the right structure to go about things, and making sure they're not going down as an influencer or an entrepreneur, but they're doing all the right things and going down in a category that someone has to manually search. That works a lot of the time and has worked 9 times out of 10 for me, and the people that I know are eligible to be verified and have managed to do it. So
I have a pretty fucked up story actually, which I forgot to tell in the first episode about trying to get verified. It was when I was trying to get the Neon Beach page verified, because when it was like booming, it was only like fucking 9 months old or whatever, and had like 500,000 followers purely from ads. But then one of the things is I didn't have the Neon Beach username for start, Neon Beach Co, and someone was like, oh, you need to get the brand name for start, because otherwise you don't even look legit. So there was 2 parts to it. Firstly, I tried to get the name. I don't even know if this is fucking legal, so I probably shouldn't say it, but I may or may not have paid 5 Bitcoin at the time, which was still a lot, but Bitcoin was like $8,000 then. Bitcoin's like what, $50,000 now? So, and it's just kind of hilarious because how tragic it is. So I basically ended up paying someone who knew someone who was, whatever, probably can't say, fucking 5 Bitcoin to get the name, because this person that had it wouldn't give it to me. And anyway, they sorted it out because I had the trademark, etc. So it's pretty legit, but they wanted to get paid. Anyway, that 5 Bitcoin now is like $250,000. And I'm not even fucking involved in the brand anymore. I spent $250,000, which could literally buy me a fucking Rolls Royce cash, on to get rid of 2 letters in a username that didn't end up getting verified, and the business I'm not even involved in now because it went fucked up. So that was fucked. But then the second part of that, which also got pretty messy, so paid this guy who was like, so you probably know him actually, but I'm not going to say his name on this podcast anyway. Paid him like $5,000.
Right.
Which again, I'm not sure you're allowed to do it against terms of service, whatever. And he was like, yeah, I'll get you verified, blah, blah, blah. goes by like this happened to loads of my mates as well. One of them ended up getting it verified, so I was like, oh, it took a while, but it's legit. Anyway, like, didn't get verified, went on for like 3 months, ended up having to chase him loads, blah blah blah, and it just got a bit messy, and he was a bit of a dodgy character, so I ended up just leaving it. And so yeah, ended up wasting like $250,000 on a username and paying $5,000 on top of that. But I thought it was a good investment, because I was like, I see this brand being like £100 million brand. This was when it was popping off, and obviously I didn't pay $250,000 because it was in Bitcoin, but at the time, and yeah, pretty fucked. It's just funny how bad that went, because paid a lot of money, didn't get verified, and the brand got fucked in the ass.
And you didn't get any refund on that at all?
No.
Oh wait, you didn't pay to try and get verified though, or you did?
Well, I paid, I guess off the books, I paid to get the username, and then also for help with getting verified.
Right.
Neither thing. I got the username, but that was also the main thing with the username, to try and get verified.
Yeah.
But then didn't get verified.
Oh.
So I had the username but no verification, and yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Just a really bad story. It's kind of funny, like, yeah, I could have invested that money or whatever, but don't have that money now anyway, so.
The whole Instagram verification thing is, mate, there's such like an underground market for it, of people trying to get verified. I know people that have successfully done it. I know people that have got ripped off, and I know people that have actually had legit people try and do it and then get refunded for not being able to get verified. But honestly, like, if you can't get verified via the actual sources with help and the right guidance, you're not meant to be verified anyway. I'd just say, advice for anyone listening, work harder on your articles, work harder on becoming more relevant within your industry, and it will come, because there's reasons that if you keep getting bounced by Instagram, there's going to be legit reasons. And that's probably going to be because you're not very likely to be impersonated, because you haven't got enough articles that rank on Google, and because you're just not ready yet. So I know everyone wants it, and everyone wants it now, and everyone's impatient, but if it's not legitimate sources or legitimate help, because like I said, there are people who do it legitimately. Like, if you've got good connections via like Facebook and Instagram panels that a lot of like music labels have to verify the artist, sports people, you know, those guys, they've got it so easy compared to, you know, normal people. But don't try and get verified as an entrepreneur through like a sports panel or someone who knows someone or someone's
there's so many services.
daughter.
I actually got a DM yesterday, and I don't even post on Instagram really, got 4,000 followers, and there's people trying to sell me services on like articles for verification, blah blah blah. But obviously now, with the bad experience I've had, I'd never go down that route.
Yeah, you know what, I know quite a lot of legit people who know the right articles that definitely assist with getting verified. Yeah, I've got like 2 or 3 friends who run PR agencies that are actually really good at that stuff and have helped me in the past anyway. So yeah, there are legit people, but at the same time, you are going to get those DMs off people that are just trying to make a quick few quid and just trying to get some money off you. You probably wouldn't even get the articles, mate. You probably end up paying them, and then they just do a runner. So just make sure.
Yeah, I've also got a friend on the flip side. And again, I won't say who he is, but it's fucking funny. He made, I don't know, he probably won't watch this, but he just like knows the right people, I think. And he made a second Instagram account just to like DM girls when he's like out of the country or whatever. And it's got like 300,000 fake followers, like loads of fake engagement, and it's completely verified with like a 4-word username. So it looks legit as fuck, and it's just hilarious because he literally said himself, yeah, this is purely to swoop girls. Like, it's not his like genuine account. His genuine account's like private.
Wow.
It's just really funny because I paid all that money, and I don't know how he got it, but he just knows the right people, and it's just fucking funny because it looks so legit, but it's completely not, like the followers and engagement and everything.
Yeah.
But it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, like, do you find it, I don't know how many people's DMs you're sliding into, but firstly, does it help when you slide into people or girls' DMs?
Right.
And secondly, do you get more DMs? Well, obviously you get DMs, but like as a result of having a big following relatively and obviously being verified, like, does that help both ways?
Great question. And I'm going to be 100% honest. Yeah, I don't even think I've said this publicly, right? I could sit here and be like, yeah, it helps. Slide into girls' DMs, nice and easy. Conversion rate with replies is mad. I genuinely think it's overhyped being verified when you're looking at it from like a girl's, you know, trying to get girls' perspective. Because if you're verified with over 100,000 followers or, you know, tens of thousands of followers, I feel like girls nowadays will probably put you in a category of being a fuckboy or being very active when it comes to girls.
Yeah.
And it's actually more off-put. And I've actually like got this feedback from girls before as well, like mates and stuff who've told me
it's
this.
Come full
like,
circle.
Yeah, it could potentially be off-putting to the girl, because regardless of how cool your life looks and how professional you are, and you know, he's an entrepreneur, he's got his own business, all this bollocks, right? They are just asked about one thing, and that is, he's probably messaging a load of girls, he's probably a fuckboy. You'll get put in that category, and then it's game over. Do you know how hard it is to actually, and the reason I know this as well is, I've met girls that I've like DM'd before on Instagram in real life, whether it's at clubs, restaurants, just bumping into them, mutual friends. Do you know how many people have said to me, oh yeah, like I seen you on Instagram and that, oh yeah, you know, you're actually nice in person. And I was like, do I not give off the perception online that I'm a nice guy? But they automatically, you know, expect me to be this dickhead who's playing on it.
I kind of see that, to be fair. I suppose maybe even myself assume some people like, well, not necessarily you, but like, well, probably you to an extent, to be fair. Like you just make assumptions about like, I don't know. This guy's just flexing a load of bollocks or whatever. It's interesting.
It depends what personal brand you've got as well, because you know, if you're verified and you're like some well-known singer or YouTuber, etc., people relate to people, personalities relate to personalities, right? So if someone sits there and watches 10-20 minutes of someone's YouTube video, they feel like they know them, right? But because I don't have any long form content out there, when people land on my page, they're not going to get a very good idea of who I am as a person through pictures, which is why at the moment,
it's like the opposite of a podcast.
No, exactly, that's what I mean. So that's why I'm going on loads of podcasts. I'm trying to, you know, I'm creating a YouTube channel as well to actually offer value. So for me, it's a mixture of putting more long-term content out there and show more personality. That's all it is, because at the end of the day, I'm not a boring guy. I'm not some, you know, stuck up fuckboy or whatever, depending on how you're looking at it. I'm just a chill guy who's just, you know, trying to make a living. Do you know what I mean? So
definitely. You'll have to link to this podcast in your Tinder bio, or is it Hinge these days? I don't know. I'm a year out of the game.
Maybe I'll just
I
shop
used to be premium account on everything, but
like, I promise I'm not a fuckboy.
Something like that. Yeah, it's true. Because like a lot of influencers have, and this brings me on to maybe our next topic, but like, I feel like a lot of influencers, I feel like people have rapped about it or whatever. They might have like 1 million followers, but they're definitely not making £1 million. And I feel like any smart person, if they actually had 1 million proper followers, would be making millions. So it's just interesting, because like you obviously get, I don't know how many influencers you personally, obviously quite a lot, but like, have you seen this where you get examples of like almost ex-influencers, like someone like Grace Beverley has obviously gone on to build like actual fucking multi-million-pound brands like Tala and that Shreddy and whatever, and she's like a legit like Forbes 30 under 30, like fucking hats off to her, especially being so young. And she had like 1 million followers or whatever, but she obviously monetized the audience, like proper deep connection with the audience, and then built an actual business off the back of it. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but then you get fucking other influencers who look like they've got 1 million followers or whatever, maybe like some fucking ex-Love Islander, like D-list, and you can tell they're struggling to fucking pay rent or whatever, because they'll do every post is a fucking brand post, and they're posting like, I don't know, diet pills from some dodgy like illegal company for like 400 quid, and it's just mad because they've both got 1 million followers, maybe, but obviously one of them has just got an actual engaged audience and knows how to monetize it. So, but it's obviously rare because most people don't properly.
What I'd say with this is, not all influencers are entrepreneurs. Yeah. Just because someone makes money, whether it's a tenner or 10 grand or 1 million quid, does not make them an entrepreneur. Yeah. You can be self-employed, and you might have been, you know, you get these girls who just post pictures of the tits and their arse, and they're getting paid through the eyeballs off bikini brands and people like that. At the end of the day, like me personally, I don't look at those people as entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs to me is someone who knows how to utilize an audience and actually scale something and make money in the long term, not just take something like a one post bikini deal for 500 quid and be like, oh yeah, I'm a self-made queen and all this bollocks. I don't care for that, honestly.
Pretty little thing.
you know, with what I do and, you know, influencer marketing being a massive side of it. I run a lot of influencer campaigns to brands, but that also means that a lot of my friend circles are influencers.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've dipped in and out of friendship groups, and I connect better with other entrepreneurs as well. Sometimes they're also influencers and models and all these things, which is great. But yeah, influencers, I think, it's funny because when you look at someone online, right, if someone's got 250,000 followers, you automatically assume that they've got money. You automatically assume, these guys are smashing life. But at the end of the day, it's just online. Do you know what I mean? Those 250,000 followers, if they're not monetized, means absolutely jack shit. It means nothing. Yeah. And I know a lot of people that have got, what's that Drake song? You know, you got more followers than dollars, and that's why I cannot relate.
Yeah, I think that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yeah,
it's so
What's
true.
It called? Yeah, another one.
Yeah, luckily the people that are around me, and I'm fortunate to have a really good friend group. You know, in between like London and LA, a lot of the people I hang around, if they are influencers, they are monetizing that, and they are doing it quite well. And I'm not just talking monetizing it, like you said, taking a quick brand deal, but they're actually trying to build, you know, a long-term connection with the audience, and then doing things which are more value-driven, which I love. But yeah, you are right. These influencers, I'd say 80% of influencers who are classed as influencers are probably broke as fuck because they're not entrepreneurs. I've never classed myself as an influencer, even though I've got like however many followers. I class myself as an entrepreneur, whereas I know someone else
definitely a better way around, I think.
Yeah, it's like 140,000 followers. Someone could be broke if it's not monetized. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a mad world out there, mate. Honestly, that whole influencer world and the way that the world's going, like prioritizing followers and vanity over actual income and careers, is nuts. I'm so thankful I was right at the start of this, so I can actually see it from a wider perspective, because people who are getting caught up with these numbers and how many likes they're getting on pictures and stuff, that means nothing, mate. Absolutely nothing. If someone gets 10,000, 20,000 likes on a photo, like, congratulations, you're on a fucking medal. Like, what are you doing with that to actually monetize that and build a career for yourself?
Especially, I think it's like, I'm not an expert on this, but like the algorithm seems to have changed a lot on Instagram. It's becoming like Facebook newsfeed almost, and like people are going to TikTok and shit. And like, yeah, if I was an influencer that didn't have like, you know, a proper following, it was just like vanity numbers, loads of guys in India fucking wanking off to bikini pictures, which is probably a lot of girls, to be fair, if you look on there, like Social Blades or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'd be a bit worried, because yeah, just seems like things are changing. And like, even with this podcast, like, got fuck all followers, like 350 subscribers, got 3,000 views on the first one, but I had like 150 odd messages across like Instagram and YouTube comments, whatever, about one episode, because it was such a niche audience, but it was like felt like a deep audience. And obviously it's long form content. That's why I think podcasts are interesting, because yeah, like I was saying to you before, I reckon hypothetically 1,000 people that listen to a whole podcast is more valuable than 100,000 people that like your 100%. Photo, but are just liking 20 others every minute as well.
Yeah. The world is caught up on vanity metrics, followers, engagement, all that stuff. Another great example of that is, you know, I've obviously bought a lot of promotions from influencers when I've been doing these big campaigns. I've literally had people who will give me a free post for a fucking hoodie with 10,000 followers, who will sell 50 hoodies, compared to someone with 1 million followers. I paid £20,000 to get the hoodie on, and they have sold like 5.
Yeah,
that is no exaggeration. That's actually a fact. I'm not going to say the brand or the influencer, but that is true.
Yeah, well, I will say the influencer, because I work with quite a lot of influencers, less so in the past year. And I think I told you about this when we were in a few weeks ago, whatever. And like I say, my experience working with influencers as a brand owner at the time has been like overall negative. Like not always negative, but yeah, there was a few times where you just give someone a code or whatever, like 10% code, and just gift them a fucking necklace, it was at the time.
Yeah.
And they'd sell like 50 things. And then the most expensive one I ever did was a deal with Jay Alvarez, so I'm saying his name. And obviously he's probably like, I feel like the original like Bali Tumblr-esque fuckboy aesthetic, and like obviously a ridiculously good looking fucking, I was probably jealous of him when I was like 21, as probably every lad was. And we paid him, me, it's like 45,000 USD for 3 posts, so 15 grand a post, which I thought, oh, this is going to blow up.
Yeah.
And it got like 350,000 likes, and this was for my brand Midnight City, so wearing necklaces. And this was in like the first year, so it's pretty big punt. And I literally remember thinking, fuck me, this has brought in like no sales. Couldn't notice a difference.
Wow.
Like, it was probably a good like brand play or whatever, but I was just like, fuck. Like, I thought this was going to bring in like 100 grand sales in a day or whatever, and it just didn't. Like, Instagram ads was what was driving sales, and like Google ads, which is probably the same for most brands.
What was the click-throughs like in that though? Did you bring a lot of people to the site? Could you tell like a massive surge of organic traffic?
Traffic, but like barely any conversions.
Right.
And another thing is, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing to properly track it, because I don't know, I just hadn't done it properly with like that scale before. Didn't give them a discount code, which probably should have, because I didn't want to do it. Yeah, it's just funny. And similar situation, probably shouldn't say her name to be fair, because she still follows me on Instagram. So if she's watching this, well, she probably isn't watching this, but anyway, did this collaboration, like a collection collab with this influencer. Lovely girl, very nice person. I think she's fairly switched on, to be fair, but she was telling me, oh, you know, like, we ended up agreeing a fee and all this because she told me, and I believed it might be true, like she told me she was bringing in X massive amount on a like affiliate for like Topshop or whatever. Like, she only had like 300,000 followers at the time. Then she got like twice that now. Did this fucking collection, like going into women's jewellery. And again, it just flopped. And I was like, fuck's sake. Because I'd spent like 4 months of time, more than anything, working on it. I'd like paid her quite a bit already. Like, there was like a percentage of revenue deal, blah, blah, blah. And I just remember thinking, like, I can't tell if this is more embarrassing and awkward for me or for you. Because you're the one that's told me you're going to drive all this sales. And it's like, were you lying about the other brand metrics, or is it just not fit with this brand? Like, I can't really tell. But either way, yeah, it was just such a flop. And I just remember thinking, fucking hell, like, I don't know, either I've just gone with the wrong influences, or it's not what people think it is from outside. Because like, you obviously see brands like Boohoo and Pretty Little Thing, which fucking sponsor every influencer. And does it work better for them because their brand is better, or does it work better for them because they've got hundreds of millions of quid to throw at things and they just don't really track it that much?
Probably the latter, because I think with someone like Boohoo Man, PLT, all those guys, they've got so much money to burn that they actually don't care about monitoring the individual metrics of each influencer. So they'll run mass campaigns with no... Because I remember back in the day, like, Boohoo Man used to, even me myself, I used to be sponsored by Boohoo Man. I had a discount code like back in the day when I was like, didn't know if I wanted to go down like the entrepreneur route or the influencer route with my following and stuff. But you know, they don't really care about codes anymore, because they realize like it's not just this is the difference between influencers and paid ads. With paid ads, you can get all the direct metrics, you know, the click-through rates, you know, the return on ad spend straight away. With influencers, you got to look at it as more as a organic
like
reach
brand thing.
So it's going to be good for your brand. It's going to be probably more long term. It might take, you know, 5-6 times for someone to see the brand to you know, make it a sale, and you might not even be able to track that conversion from its first, you know, viewpoint. And that's why it's so difficult to measure, but at the same time, that's why it's so good, because if you constantly do it and you start to be the only, say Boohoo Man, the only clothing brand people are seeing. Like right now, if you were to say, oh yeah, someone coming off Love Island, or someone who's just got the first 100,000 followers, who's going to sponsor them? We're going to say Boohoo Man, because they've just monopolized the whole thing in people's eyes. So, you know, there's that benefit of it. But if you're trying to do it on a smaller scale, you know, someone who hasn't got hundreds of thousands, if not millions a month to spend on influencers, I think you have got to be a lot more careful on who you want to represent your brand.
Yeah, so true. Because I feel like, because I'm working on a new brand now. Obviously, I've had 2 brands in the past. Well, more than that, actually. 2 big brands, I guess, in the past. Obviously, fucked up with the most recent one. But, like, I feel like micro-influencers is just unpaid. And, like, this is kind of the approach I took in, like, the past year with Neon, actually, as well. Never paid an influencer when that was going well. Like, my view, and I don't know if it's right, but certainly for, like, brands where you're, like, self-funded and got fucking hundreds of millions, is you should just gift your product to as many, like, aesthetically pleasing... not even influencers, just people, like creators, micro creators, like sub 5,000 followers in many cases. Just gift them your product, don't pay them, just get content, then use that content on paid ads. That would be my approach. And probably on like TikTok paid ads now, because I know TikTok's like literally 10% the price of Facebook right now. So I'm actually working on a new brand right now, a completely different industry, but we're only working on it for like 2 months, and I'm going to launch that on TikTok. I reckon.
Boom.
Like,
Mate,
not even use Facebook to start with.
Yeah.
Because it's just too expensive. And influencers are too expensive.
Influencers are too expensive. I think it also
For
depends.
new brands, anyway.
It also depends on the brand and the product. So, for example, Neon Beach, that's the type of product which is so unique and so, like, there is a lot of copiers now, obviously, but like when you first started that was such a unique thing which people didn't know that they wanted, but they want. So I think that would have been quite easy to gift influencers the hundreds of thousands of followers to take
especially because it's like bespoke. It costs like 300 quid anyway, so the perceived value is way higher.
Exactly. So stuff like that's a lot easier to get free posts off people that would usually post usually charge like 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a post.
Yeah.
You're giving that from the cost of say 300 quid.
Yeah.
But yeah, for things with like saturated markets, like I don't know, clothing or iPhone accessories, all that bollocks, iPhone cases, that's going to be so difficult to do. So
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to have something unique and like higher perceived value to do it. Mm-hmm. Or just use really small influencers. Just get people for content.
Yeah, that's what I love that approach, and I've done that loads, mate. I've run influencer campaigns where we don't pay them, get a load of content, get the permission to use it on ads. Then you've got a beautiful feed of aesthetically pleasing content, free exposure, and all you have to do is give out the cost of the product, and there you go, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, I've just thought, actually, I've got a few funny stories, and you've probably got some as well. Just on like fucking like weird influencer shit, and you just reminded me of one, because when you said Neon Beach, so Mia Khalifa, like the world's biggest porn star, and everyone fucking knows her. So we sent her a sign, and I remember posting on my personal like screenshot from verified Mia Khalifa, like, oh, can I have a sign? So we sent her 2 signs. One of them was like a fucking cock with her name or whatever. Oh, my fucking watch is speaking. And the other one was like a Batman logo with like Khalifa or something.
Right.
And I thought, she's never going to post this, but it's just because like 25 million followers or whatever, but it's just fucking hilarious. So we sent her that. I don't know if it might be in the back of like some OnlyFans private porn or whatever. I don't know if she's retired from Pornhub for religious reasons or whatever happened there, but not that I watch porn, of course. Never have. But that was a funny one. And then just another little blooper I remember with Midnight City. This was like smaller scale, but still like fairly expensive. It was like maybe like a $2,000 post with like some, I think I know it was with, I probably shouldn't say, but it's like some older Love Island, like, I don't know, 2 seasons ago, Love Island person. And they're like their fucking manager. Like, I feel like a lot of these people that have quickly become like famous, they end up speaking to you like shit anyway. Like, you're paying them $2,000 and their fucking manager responds to you and like they can't even spell things correctly, like, because they're a big shot now. It's just funny. But I remember like their manager sending me back the picture to approve, and it wasn't even my brand, and I'm like, fucking hell,
no way,
come on. Like, I know you're an entitled cunt, but you're getting paid like $2,000 to take a picture. At least get that right. Like, come on. And I'm not even exaggerating, that actually happened. It's probably happened loads of times. I mean, I don't know if you've got any stories like that where it's just weird shit,
mate,
that you just wouldn't believe.
That's a funny one, actually. Like, a lot of the campaigns that I run anyway are, most of my clients are over in the States, so a lot of the influencers that we use are in the States as well. But I have ran UK campaigns as well, but just touching on like that Love Island thing, I've had the exact same thing, mate. Once again, I'm not going to mention any names. However, when I had the watch brand and I wanted to get someone who just came off Love Island, they were popping at the time. Looked like they were popping anyway. I paid them, I think it was $1,000 for a post and a story, which was really good because I bartered them down from like stupid numbers. It took ages and ages for them to send me a picture of the watch, like them wearing the watch. And let's be honest, with a watch, it's actually quite a hard thing to take a picture of without it looking blatant and not natural. Do you know what I mean? Like this, just like with your hand up, it just doesn't make much. It doesn't make much sense. But finally got it through, and they were wearing the watch upside down. So like where it said Adam Mark at the top, it said at the bottom, and I was like, look, that's upside down. Could you please retake that? And then the agent got bare ass with me and was like, I was going to say the name then, such and such isn't happy to reshoot, so we'll be posting this photo. And I was like, I have just paid you £1,000 to post, and you're going to give me an upside down watch in the picture. are you taking the
just
piss?
A level of entitlement for some of them.
It's just mad, mate, honestly.
Like, hilarious.
And that person's irrelevant now, by the way. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, I'm, again, not an expert on this, but I feel like the ones that do take it for granted and just treat fucking brands like shit don't have brand deals for very long. Yeah. Because, like, do they not realise that the brands that are paying you are the only reason you're doing this and not working in fucking McDonald's? I mean, not necessarily McDonald's. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because a lot of them, maybe I'm stereotyping, but a lot of them, particularly the earlier series, I feel like just they're not the smartest of dons, and suddenly they get a lot big following, a lot of money coming their way.
Well, at the same time, it's not just
they don't keep those relationships.
Yeah, it's not their fault. It's, if anything, like I said, influencers aren't always entrepreneurs. But if you've got an agent, at least make sure your agent is good enough to actually do business deals and put you in the right direction. If your manager is accepting every Tom, Dick and Harry who's trying to promote a t-shirt, a cap, a fucking
weight loss
bikini,
pill.
Weight loss pill, exactly, like, you are not going to make it out of that category. And once you're put in that category, you then won't get cooler, better brands who are going to give you more money, because they're going to look at the brand you're promoting and how saturated your audience is, and they're going to go, yeah, fuck that, I ain't working with them. And that's happened a lot. The amount of times I've actually put influencers up for work with brands, and they've been like, no, they've promoted such and such, or look how many times they posted XYZ. There's a balance there, do you know what I mean? And if you're not strategic about it, you will fall into the category of, promoting, no offense to Boohoo, by the way, but let's say, for example, they get a Boohoo man deal, and then they get someone else, and then they just go down the shitter because they just saturate themselves with shit brands. Not saying Boohoo man's shit, it was just an example.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
like you get influencers where, like they've got like a Jim King post. Like, I think Jim King's like the guy who actually founded that went to my school. I don't know him, but like just a certain, they're like niche into like a certain type of brand, and then maybe because they're offering them more money now, but like they're not thinking long term. Yeah. And I mean, I've never been an influencer, so I'm not in that position. But just in January, I think there was like, was it that Stephen Bear? I feel like he's been posting loads of porn on Twitter recently. Someone sent that to me the other day. But I remember seeing some stuff where I think he was posting loads of like borderline like illegal like weight loss pills and shit, and he was getting absolutely fucking cancelled in the comments. But you must just think like you would assume that he's most genuinely desperate for money, because otherwise he wouldn't be doing that to damage his personal brand. Yeah. And not just him, like, I mean, I don't really know anything about him, but that's just one example. He's a very controversial character. I think some of the moves are a bit mad, what he's doing. Like you said, like posting porn on Twitter and stuff is like one of the most ballsy things I've ever seen in my entire life. People calling him, like, people saying he's lost the plot, he's crazy. But at the same time, I'm thinking, is he not just being like really ballsy with his marketing? Because how many people now have subscribed to his OnlyFans, and how many people now went to his page, and you know what I mean? So so OnlyFans, because that whole thing of them cancelling porn, that was that either misinterpreted or it was a marketing thing? Because it's not true, is it? They haven't cancelled porn. So they did put out a statement saying that they were stopping explicit content. Me personally, I think what happened was, I've got to be careful myself because the founder of OnlyFans follows me on Instagram as well. So he's an English bloke, isn't he? Yeah, English bloke. I think they said it because that's literally the direction they wanted to do. I think from the legal side of things, to actually have a platform which is accepting subscriptions for porn is actually quite messy. Yeah. Especially when anyone can go and like start doing it without being vetted and all this. Like, I think there's a lot of dodgy shit going on there, which maybe they can't control or monitor. So they wanted to be more of a, VIP creators platform. When they seen the backlash of how people were reacting to that, I think they then realized we're probably going to go under as a company if we actually don't bring this back. So by that, then being like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing it anymore. This is what we're sticking to it. I think number one, they realized that they saved a lot of people's careers because everyone was freaking out. Because think about how many everyone lives... Everyone that can't get brand deals that was now selling porn, and as a result can't get brand deals again, needs that porn. Yeah, but there's girls out there that are like 18, 19, 20. They'll do 1 month on OnlyFans and make 100 grand. Yeah, fuck, I'm actually jealous of that, to be fair. That is nuts. That is actually insanity. So, to take that away, like if someone's there making 6 figures a month, and I know multiple people myself who were doing that, to take that away from them and having to like find another platform or other ways to monetize their audience, that would have scared the shit out of a lot of people. Yeah. But
Yeah, they're not doing it anymore. They're continuing, and if anything, it gave them a bigger boost in marketing and exposure because people were talking about it and it was trending everywhere. So
yeah, he was telling me like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever, some guy, because you hear probably, I've definitely heard of less obviously like guys that are on OnlyFans, but it's probably almost a better niche in a way because there's less competition. But I think he was making like 200 grand a month fucking, and he's like it's like a model or whatever. I don't even know his name, but someone was telling me he's making like 200 grand a month, but he's basically just like getting his cock out for old men and stuff. And I was just thinking like, where's the line? Because like everyone, if you honestly sat them down in a room with like a bag of cash and you said, I'll give you £1 million to do this, like people always say, oh, you know, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't whatever for like £1 million. But actually if the money was there with certain things, you probably would. And it's an interesting debate because like I would agree. I'd say I'm not fucking putting my dick online for old men for money. But like everyone deep down, there's probably a number where you would consider doing that, whether your face is blurred out or whatever. But
it's true.
It's just an interesting one because maybe someone like that gets into it as a joke or whatever, or because they need money, and then all of a sudden they're making a shitload of money, and then like you hear these stories of people like starting out just doing like exclusive content where they fucking get the top off but there's still a bra on, and then before you know it they're having a threesome with 2 old men on camera or whatever. This is hypothetical, by the way, anecdotal.
I'm pretty sure it's
but it's probably
actual
accurate.
Real life for a lot of people though, to be honest.
Yeah, because I can imagine when you start getting a little taste of the money that's coming in, and then people offer you more money. I don't know exactly how it works, but you know, basically sounds like the dodgier and the niche stuff you do, the more you can make. Like, yeah.
I mean, it fits in so well with like I haven't got OnlyFans, by the way, but it fits in with my ideology of just life, because I've always said this, like, you can't pay bills with people's opinions, right? So all these people that are on these platforms that are putting themselves out there, yeah, okay, you might get XYZ saying, oh, what a slut, what a slag, all this bollocks. But realistically, if they're sitting there making 20 to 100 grand a month and they were previously making $1,000 or $2,000 a month, they're changing their whole life and they're setting themselves up. Because I know people that what they do is they'll take money from OnlyFans. They'll say, right, I'm going to do it for like a year. I'm going to do it for whatever it is. They'll make X amount of money. And then they'll take that and go and buy property or start up a brand.
Very true.
Or invest it in the right places like crypto. I literally know so many people that made a couple of $100 grand from OnlyFans, which then gave them the liquidity to go and throw it into crypto. Yeah. And now they made a couple million. To me, that's crazy.
I'm probably deep down jealous of all these hoes that are making millions. Which, I guess maybe it's arguably harder for blokes to do. I mean, I'm not going to do it, but yeah, it's true. It's true. Like in general, at that point, like you can't pay bills with opinions. Yeah, like to be fair, that's probably why I just wanted to put that first podcast out saying like, I fucked up with that Neon Beach thing, but I'm not going to stay off social media forever, because obviously for me, like I was saying to you before we started, like I started this podcast because it's just fucking therapeutic and I genuinely find it interesting just sitting down and speaking to people, but it's actually a networking vehicle. And granted, everything starts small, but even sitting here speaking to you, it was an excuse for me to speak to you for an hour and a half, whatever. And then you never know where that can go. And you know someone that, I don't know, might want to invest in my next business, say hypothetically, and they know someone that knows someone. And
yeah, but not even hypothetically, like me knowing now that you're making a new brand, I don't know what you're doing. I want to hear more about this and I want to see if there's any way that I can help. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose that was the like opinions can't pay bills thing for me. I was just like, fuck it. Like I was getting all this hate online previously, and now that's all sorted. I told everyone what happened. Like you can't. No one can say shit to me when you lay your cards on the table. So
you've got to move on.
That was the reason I put that out there. And similar principle really, because like you can just hide in the room, stay off social media forever. But the reality is, if I didn't have Facebook ads, I would never have made any money in the first place. Yeah. Like in a business sense, but then also like I probably would have never met anyone that helped me along the way, etc. Like the friends I've got now, if I'd never had social media in the first place. So
exactly.
It comes back to like what we said before. Like you end up building like social proof because you've done some interesting stuff, and then it like piles from there, etc., etc. And then because you're in a certain circle, you meet other people like you, anyone else, blah blah blah. Yeah. So that was why I was interested to start the podcast again, I suppose, because I don't know how I've got to that from talking about OnlyFans, but
it was a good little pivot, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, it's the same point, really. You just can't pay bills with opinions, can you? So
no. It's like, even when you started out, you probably got a lot of people being like, what you doing? You don't know how to do that. Who does you think he is, trying to make a brand? And it's the type of stuff that I got. Like, when I was putting myself out there, posting fashion stuff on Instagram, or making my first brand, like, oh, what does he know about watches, or what does he know about fashion?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, if I actually listened to people's opinions back then, I wouldn't even be sat here with you right now.
Yeah, very true.
Having this conversation, if I actually gave a fuck about what people thought of me. Because that small town mentality, which a lot of people have, is so damaging and crippling to a lot of people. Like, I even think there's still the most amazing creators, influencers, musicians, etc. that are around there that are just undiscovered because they're too scared or nervous to put themselves out there. Like, if everyone didn't give a fuck what people thought about them, I think the world would be such a better place.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we're full of, the world's full of scrutiny, judgment. Everyone's going to be trying to judge each other. Most off jealousy, to be honest. That's like the biggest thing. That, like, even you said then, like, oh yeah, I'm jealous of all these. I know you said it like in a passive comment, like joking, but there will be girls out there that are jealous of an OnlyFans girl. There will be lads out there that are jealous of you, earning X amount of money and traveling the world and doing all these amazing things. There's always going to be people that are jealous, but it's how you handle it, and you got to not let that get drilled into your head as reality, because people's opinions of you aren't reality unless you make it a reality.
So true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because definitely, like, when I was getting started, like when I had my first brand called Gentry Club, this back in like 2015, like first ever ecom brand, and I had like fucking probably 5 or 6 attempts at brands after that, until like ones that did big numbers or whatever. But yeah, I still remember distinctly, and everyone's probably got the similar fucking sob stories, so I'm not playing fucking victim, but it's just the truth. Like, I remember these lads in the year below, ironically, who were like the cool kids in school, so they were probably I'd have just started uni, and I had this brand, and yeah, they would get like t-shirts and draw the logo on and then like rip them up and shit and put it on like Facebook and that, and it was all very immature, whatever. Probably affected me at the time, but I think that they definitely got over that. But one funny thing was, and I remember this happening, so one of the lads that did that, and he might be watching this, I'm not going to say his name, I'm sure he wouldn't do that now because everyone has fucking cunny phases or whatever, but he bought from my brand Midnight City multiple times, and I could see on Shopify it was his, and I knew his address, etc., and I wondered if he knew that I owned that brand, because it was just funny, because he'd gone from being a hater to a customer.
Probably not.
And there's probably more than just him that happened to, but it's just interesting, yeah, because I mean I've said it in a few of the podcast episodes or whatever, I said it in a freestyle rap, but it's just like, it says a lot, because people like, I don't actually know what he does now, to be fair. I'm not saying he's got a bad job or whatever, but I know he's not running a business, and he probably never will, because people that end up creating stuff don't generally, people that hate on stuff never really do anything, is my point.
It's so true, mate. Like, all the entrepreneurs that both of us are surrounded by. When was the last time you seen anyone, we share similar circles, we've got friends that cross over and stuff, but even the ones that don't, not one of them would sit there and be like, oh my goodness, look at this brand, it's so shit, this guy's shit, I'm going to create, I don't know, I'm going to just take the piss out of them online or whatever it is publicly. Like, we might have our opinions about certain things, but you'd never ever see anyone completely tear someone else down in a room that we didn't know. If there was a reason to, and there's a reason for us to look into something, that's different. But if some random guy in America just created a clothing brand, you'd never say to me, look how shit this clothing brand is, I'm going to let him know how shit it is, and I'm going to do something to really like let him know. It just wouldn't happen. And
then it's weird, because like, it's like with anything, like when you first start, it's going to be shit, like whether it's a brand or a fucking podcast or whatever. But then obviously over time, and like, what's the phrase, like experience breeds confidence, and it's so true. Like, you then start hanging around with people that do have successful businesses or brands or whatever, then obviously you build up experience over time. And it's like, yeah, I've built 2 big brands in the past, one successful, then not successful, but now I know when I'm doing the next one, obviously it's going to be successful, because, and it might take time, what might not happen overnight, but like, there's never even a glimmer in my mind it's not going to work, because I've done it before and I'll do it again. Exactly. And obviously, but if I'd never started in the first place, if I'd stopped trying to build businesses because of that one bit of hate or whatever, it's kind of tragic, because you probably never do it again. And it's similar with like, with content or like making YouTube videos or whatever. And similar thing happened to me. Like, I used to make music covers, like people used to say I sounded like Niall Horan. I wasn't that good at singing, but I was into like guitar and that.
Right.
I used to make that shit, and then someone found out from school, and they're like, oh, you're shit. I had like 4,000 subscribers, and I stopped making it. And then I started a vlog channel like 4 years ago, and I was traveling. I had like 200 videos.
Right. That's a lot, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of videos, to be fair. It's a different channel to this one, but it's still on there. And then I think there was a similar comment somewhere along the line of, maybe it was even fucking family members saying like, why are you making that shit? It's pointless. So I stopped making that because I wanted it to be like a travel vlog at the time. I was probably less interested in it long term, more of a phase, but... And then, yeah, I guess like even this small podcast channel is fucking third time around doing like the YouTube thing. And I'd always wanted to like put some content out there because I just hadn't figured out what the right time or medium was.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, fuck it. Like I've got to the point in my life now where I'm old enough not to really give a fuck about, especially because of the whole Neon Beach thing, whatever. I just got used to getting some hate online. And then actually the reception to this, even on a small scale, was way better than I thought it would be. Because most people, are probably interested in it, but either they haven't got the experience or connections to get people on, or they haven't got the confidence to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And then, I was just like, fuck.
From an entrepreneurial perspective, the journey you've had and the fuck ups which you've had and the, those things which would put anyone else off from ever being in that space ever again, you've used as motivation to then kick yourself off and keep going, moving forward and creating new things. Not everyone has that, which shows you're actually a true entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean? And if you cared about what people said to you, like the negative comments, people kicking off, whatever it is, you wouldn't be successful. You wouldn't be in this position. Do you know what I mean? So by you having that mindset shows me as well, like how far you're going to go and, the success you're going to have moving forward as well. So that's going to be exciting to see. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's true. Like it's just a mindset in it because, winners win. It's kind of cringe, but it's fucking true.
It is
and
true.
Yeah, and I feel like with this podcast, even like I feel like I'm back to like square one where I was with like my first econ brand. Because obviously I've never built a successful podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure if I'm consistent with it, which is obviously the hard part, especially when you're not like revenue generating from podcasts or whatever. But if I'm consistent with it, I'm confident I'll smash it out like anything else. Because it's the same principles, isn't it? It's like the same as starting any business.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like even trying to get Tyler and Billy on the first episode was like pulling teeth. It was like, come on, I just want to fucking record the first episode. People are like, oh, you haven't got any followers, like blah blah blah. Well, obviously I haven't, because I haven't put anything out yet. But you just got to accept, like with anything, and in this case, the podcast. It's going to start slow, but if you're consistent, you put out like authentic stuff, which I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Then it'll probably work.
100%.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, deep. I mean, I guess to wrap things up, we could probably fucking speak for like 5 hours, but then people will stop watching. Or I need to get like a bottle of red wine out, which I ain't got to hand right now. Where do you want to take the agency? And then like, what's next for, well, you really? Is it the agency? Anything else? Like, where do you see the next 5 years? I know you said you're still figuring that out, but is there any thoughts?
So with the agency this year, as much as I love doing it, I don't want to give anyone 50% of me. I only ever want to give someone 100% to my clients.
Yeah.
Me as an agency, we're not the cheapest agency, but that's because I know the value which I can bring and I know how good I am at what I do. So I'm not going to be the cheapest, which means if someone's paying a lot of money, they expect incredible results and they expect someone to be quite integrated in. So this year I realized that I wanted to cut down the clients which I have so I can focus 100% on the ones that I really think are going places and that I can be more integrated into, but also help people that might not be able to afford my monthly retainers or are just getting started off and don't really know where to go, which is why I've started to pivot over into info products. I've just released my first ebook, which is an Instagram blueprint.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, teaching people how to strategize, monetize, and grow on social. Well, it can basically be used if you're a brand, if you're an influencer, whatever it is. I'm like plugging this. I didn't even mean to, but it's just because it is actually what I'm focusing on right now, because my DMs are constantly flooded with people being like, can you help me? Can you help me? And honestly, mate, I can't help a lot of them because it would take way too much of my time. I'll probably get in between 5 to 10 people a day being like, can you help me? Can you help me? And the fact is that I can't reply to everyone, but I wanted to create a product which was at low a low cost that people can basically digest, and it's like a do-it-yourself version of what I'd be able to give them anyway. Give them all the information they need and my knowledge, but get them to do it themselves. So I want to help more people, which is why I've went into this. It's literally not just to make money. It's actually because I know I can help a lot more people on a mass scale by doing this, because, the equivalent of me going to a client and charging $10,000 and then saying, well, for $97, here's what I think you should do. Go and try and do it. The majority of people are going to go for the $97 option, obviously. So yeah, that's what I'm focusing on right now. Ebooks, creating online products, which will help people for a low cost, which means I can then automate my life a lot more, which means I'm not always on calls with clients or going to meetings, etc. I can focus on the big ones, which I think, are going to do extremely well, and I really enjoy being involved in. But as well as that, helping people in the masses. So offering info products which can actually help people change their lives, and whether it's making more money or just helping them get the first 10,000 followers on Instagram, if I know I can help them do that, then why wouldn't I try and do it? So
yeah, sick.
It's the focus.
Do you think you'd ever start an e-com brand again?
Yes.
Interesting. I feel like people, in my experience, either build brands or do like the agency stuff, typically, at least when they get inside.
Do you know what's funny, mate? I've said to myself for the last couple of years, if I'm going to make 10 million quid, it's probably going to be from an e-com brand.
Yeah.
I just haven't. And the reason I haven't is similar to you. I've done drop shipping, but I probably done it a lot. I wasn't as invested into it. So I just flip up a quick drop shipping store within literally in an hour.
Yeah.
And then I'd run it across a load of meme pages and a few influencers that I knew on the cheap. I'd make a couple grand and then I just dip, which is, don't do it, guys. Honestly, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would. And the only reason I'm not doing it right now is I'm not going to start a product unless I know it's a winning product. I'm not just going to freeball and be like, oh, I kind of think that would work. If I see a product that I know is going to work, or a brand which I think is just going to take over, then 100% I'm going to be doing e-com in the future. Don't know how soon, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It definitely needs time. I agree though. I feel like building a brand, an e-com brand, aside from building you can build a personal brand as well, but I think financially building a successful e-com brand that you can exit from is the biggest opportunity.
100%.
Financially.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe some OnlyFans girl getting in on some initial coin offering and making 100 million quid from fucking wank stain coin or something. Yeah. These meme coins that were happening back in March.
Yeah. I definitely dabbled in the shit coin space.
Yeah,
won
same.
some, lost some.
Yeah.
Don't think I'll be doing it again.
Safe moon, all that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, crypto.
Yeah, it is. It's nuts.
But no, I'm excited to see where you take it. I think, I just think that there are a lot of people that want to do things and are doing things that don't get enough airtime, whether that's because whether they want it or not, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this pod, really, because there's a lot of regular faces which probably bigger from bigger brands like Gymshark, whatever, they go on podcasts all the time, and that's all well and good, but I feel like sometimes they're not as relatable because they're so far ahead of your average early 20 something that it's just oh fuck. Whereas I just think speaking to people like you and loads more guests we got coming, well, that's the plan if I can keep it consistent. Just get people's perspective on different sorts of entrepreneurship, whether it's fucking e-com, property, music, think whatever.
Relatability is key when it comes to stuff like this. Like you said, Dan, if there's constantly billionaires and people who are in just really unique situations, coming on podcasts and listening to them talk, they're not always relatable stories.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you keep it real and you keep it honest, which we have, and I know you have in your last episode as well, and you'll continue to do so, that's the key, mate. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's the plan. Right, well, good to chat. On that note, we'll wrap up the ep, and I guess subscribe, whatever. I mean, I don't know how to measure this podcast yet because it's on YouTube. Obviously, it's on Spotify and Apple as well. But just go listen to it wherever the fuck you want, really. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.